Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Mike's Garage. I got kind of a longer one today. I wanted to talk in detail about some stuff about the Milwaukee 1505 and the Knipex Cobra XS. I've been carrying these two for several months now. I think whenever I started my channel, I was, I kind of introduced these as a part of the beginning of my channel because this combination has worked really well for me. Well, of course, like any other person that deals with EDC, I've dug in quite a bit deeper since then to add some utility and some function to my everyday carry. So while in the beginning I just would throw like a zip tie on here to keep this from opening up in my pocket, or even a hair tie works really great because then you have the function of the hair tie for multiple purposes. But recently I found something that is originally from a company called Swiss Mods, and since then I've edited some that I've printed online to kind of fit the needs that I have. And so this is what I've come up with. So it's still super thin, but there's a lot of function in what I carry. Now this is more of, your heavy carry. I don't carry this necessarily all the time. Sometimes I don't even take the Cobra with me, but if I know that I'm gonna need a small toolkit, this is what I take with me. So this is made by, I can't remember the name of the creator on Bamboo Labs or Maker World, but they did an excellent job with this. Some of the other versions that the original Swiss Mods guy, I think his name is Todd, on YouTube, that created this centerpiece here as his original part of his product that he actually goes out there and sells. So by all means, if without these wings on here, if this more simplistic piece in the middle suits your needs, please seek Swiss Mods out and support Todd and all the work that he's put into this. But there's several creators out there that have gone through and edited and changed this up quite a bit. So this one prints as just this middle piece, and then you can glue these outer edges on here. So what I've done here is this has the 711L mini ratchet that has the more shallow mount for these Steinwhale bits. And so essentially what I've done here is created 12, I believe it's 12 different sizes. So I have a couple of Allens, I've got a number 1 Phillips and a smaller flathead. And then, if you carry this, you have the number 2 and then the larger flathead or blade. And then I've got a couple of different torques here. I believe I have a 10, 15, 20, 25, and then the 6 and the 8 for like knives and things like that. And then with the Steinwhale, you actually get this extension that fits the bits and works really well with the actual extensions. But what I did is cut this down and then kind of polish this edge to work with the actual ratchet here. So what this allows me to do is to be able to use this as like an extension, and then I can do stuff with just this here, but it also allows for me to make the ratchet something that's easier to hold in my hand, right? And then with the added function of the pliers and also this 10 and 8 millimeter socket, and then I've also added on this 1/4 inch bit to 1/4 inch socket adapter. And what this allows me to do by having this 1/4 inch bit to 1/4 inch socket is to use my sockets that I might have in like a tool bag or something like that nearby. So I don't have to keep a ratchet in my bag. I can just keep, a couple different sockets that I use on a regular basis outside of what I use, for this 8 and 10 mil, which is pretty common. I mean, I think a 10 mil is pretty handy to have around for just about everything. There is a magnet inside of this. I may end up doing just a review of this one flip socket because I like this thing so much. So one of the features, besides obviously the fact that you can use this as an impact, you can use it as an 8 or a 10 mil socket. It also has the ability, just like the standard version, for a bit option, which is obviously what you saw this sitting in at the beginning of the kit. So now I have a snug bit acceptor here. Now it probably doesn't work that well with these. Oh, I guess it does. So it works with the Steinwhale bits as well. But I could also take the larger one out of the Milwaukee and use that in there as well. So you can see there it's in the deep position and then locked into the more shallow for, you know, pulling off nuts and bolts there. So this adds a ton of functionality to my day, and like I said, I don't carry this all the time. I usually have this and this at a minimum, but if I know I'm going to want extra tools, then having all of these different bits around and a couple of sockets, and then the functionality of having a pretty nice ratchet, you know, on my person is pretty handy. So I've got, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. I mean, so over 20 tools just right here. And I'm sure we could probably, you know, count them up as more. A few more things that I want to note is that, you know, maybe you have larger hands and you want to carry this setup, but the smaller ratchet doesn't, you know, work for you. You could easily throw this as a part of your ratchet to even have more torque on the actual parts that you're working on. So that is definitely an option for you, because you say, oh, well, these tiny ratchets, you know, they don't work for me because I don't like having something that is that small to work with, you know, because I agree, you know, having something like this you can only carry with a couple of fingers is kind of a pain sometimes, which is why I carry the extension. And it was a happy accident, I guess, that the flip socket actually worked to add on to that. And now something that, you know, kind of got me interested in the whole setup originally was the fact that the 1505 has this bit, right? So, you know, I've got my 1/4-inch socket here. So there's another function I didn't speak of, but that, you know, if you know about the 1505, you kind of understand that. Well, a few of the ways that you can incorporate the ratchet to the 1505 is by putting it on top of the flathead. It fits great on there. It magnetizes to it. You can put it at different angles, and then you can use this as your actual ratchet handle, right? So now it's like a full-size ratchet. So there are several different ways that you can set this up, and I'll include some pictures of a few of those options right now. And you can see that, you know, there are different variations that you can set this whole setup into to be productive for you. So, you know, if you need different bits, you can have different bits. If you need a different socket, maybe, you know, you want the 1/4-inch and the 5/16 instead of the 8 and the 10, you know, definitely have that option. So give me a second here. Let me put this back together. So yeah, this is everything put back together as it was when we originally talked about it. And like I said, this is a great option to be able to 3D print something to help you be productive on a day-to-day basis. So nice and flat, sits in the pocket. I usually put it in like this, and then it kind of rounds the corner there on my right pocket. And then obviously this is up and out of the way, and I still have area down. So if I put it like this, I still have area down here for keys or AirPods or something like that. And so they sit pretty well in there. Here, I'll give you a good example of what my pocket might look like. And then I've started carrying this up in the 5th pocket. So something like that in the pocket, it's a lot, but, you know, for someone that wants a lot of functionality in a minimal amount of space and doesn't want to have a pouch or a tool bag or anything like that, I feel like this is a pretty decent setup. So this has worked out for me. I want to know what you guys think down in the comments. Have a great day.